Yes, don't say anything dumb, me included. That's right. I have
Sounds good.
perfect. I'm just about to guess.
Actually, because for a mobile application type,
Oh, cool.
it would be incredibly rude or like out of place. There'd be a way that I could just say something like, "Hi, if you have a skill or trusted in opinion, talk to me."
I will.
That would be so awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I don't know if you guys heard that. My first hat will be for a mobile app developer. So I'm sure a lot of people are, but the test is an awesome person.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's a really exciting project. We've got some very good news yesterday. Yeah, looking to
Cool. Well, so let's begin. My name is Chad Urban. I am a full stack developer. I do PHP and JavaScript and a bunch of other technologies. What we're going to be doing today is rapid application development. Primarily hybrid app development, but the REST API that we create will be useful for pretty much any app. The plan, of course, is to make an API that allows the retrieval list of things with full CRUD support and Google server platform, and also end up with an HTML like an Android app that allows us to log into Google and see our things. Let's see if we can do it in 15 minutes. Time for questions. We're going to make that happen by using an awesome tool today. Our tool today includes Generative, which is going to scaffold our mobile application. It's going to include Passport, which I mentioned is going to handle all of the OAuth stuff. Sales is our backend framework. Ionic, Raft, Cordova, and Angular. Mongo is our database layer. Yogan is what our generator and Gulp stats power. Those are front-end tools. Things that we are going to talk about, how to JavaScript, because I don't know, dude. Angular services, controllers, what are they? No SQL, because our RM is going to do a lot of everything. I know that's kind of a big part of Mongo, but that's also a big part of why I'm using Sales. OAuth 2, I'm not going to talk about access tokens, refresh tokens, anything like that. Tool chain, well, I am going to talk about access to tokens, but only in the sense that, well, they come from Passport. You'll see. Tool chain, I'm going to dig into what all the stats really are, just that we're using them. And I'm not going to talk about Mongo, why that I'm not going to talk about the security of cryptography JavaScript. I'm going to take a moment to talk about CleverTech. CleverTech is an international team of developers, 100% remote, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and work on projects ranging from Linux kernel hacking in Python and C++ if you're talented in that area, to Microsoft, to JavaScript, to PHP. So just check out the website, hire.clevertech.biz, and see if anything interests you. Great company. Let's talk about what our API is going to look like. We're going to use Sales' ability to generate an API, get us off the ground. It's similar to like Laravel or tools or install or whatever. So new API will give us a folder. Inside of that folder, we will install Sales Mongo, Passport's Google OAuth 2 library, and .env, because as it says on here, if you don't put your credentials in your repository on GitHub, then you are in a better spot than people do. Some of the files that we have to configure to really get going are the connections of Mongo credentials, which I'm not going to do because my Mongo local database is open. We're going to configure the models file so that Sail doesn't ask what to do with its migration. You can set it to safe, you can set it to drop. Talk about that in a bit when we play with it. Course is going to allow our mobile app to access our API. We will see that towards the end, allowing lots of origins and lots of different hosts to talk to each other, browser security stuff. When you generate APIs, it's kind of what it ends up looking like. You get your MVC structure, controllers, models. A lot of the magic happens in the config section with the middleware and the HTTP and the database connection defined in connections and models. Policies is your authentication, routes is your URL structure. You've got views them in there at the bottom too. The blueprint generators are also kind of the wide side of these cells. The native code with the blueprint generators might not be ideal, but they do spit out full CRUD very quickly, complete support for relationships, and they also give you the ability to use shortcut routes. Now, this is just kind of a controller thing in general in sales. Shortcut routes allow you to do CRUD through query parameters. Auto-routing is kind of standard across all of the controllers and those frameworks. You have an action inside your controller. It's off controller, you go to off/action. It's all built in. When you generate a controller or API, in this case I've generated a user API and a thing model. The user controller is basically blank, and the user model and thing model are also pretty much blank at this point, because a lot of the structure is coming from blueprint definitions, which you don't really have to worry about because you can override them if you want. We're just going to leave those as is and know they exist. They're basically files in the back end. So when you get a user controller, there's nothing in it. Use blueprint. Waterline is what the models actually become. They're just required model exports patterns, but Waterline gives the ORM functionality of the models. We will add attributes to our model that allow us to specify the types of columns, which is something that document stores don't always do. With Mongo, you can just kind of put whatever you want. With the attribute functionality of Waterline, we can define this as a named string, etc. You can also define relationships, which is pretty cool because with document stores, you tend to have to do all of the relationship managing yourself because it's not a relational database. So ORMs kind of take care of that for us. Users have things have users. It's also, of course, data semantic, but it's an ORM kind of given. Works with PostgreSQL or Mongo, which is kind of cool. This is an example of what our models are going to do. It's got an email and access to the field for user. Things, this is how you find a menu to one relationship. Things have collection, they're a collection of thing models via the thing author property and just relates to. So it keeps track of all of that for us. The sales, when you install it by default, it uses something called sales disk. It's basically a single light kind of thing. It does document stores. It's not production ready. I'm sure it loses a ton of data. I'm sure it's not tolerant at all, but it's great for rapid development. So if you're spinning up into cells, you have to change away from cells. Like I said, blueprint API can be overwritten. It's fine to create standard CRUD, but there's also add and remove, which are the populate methods. Therefore, managing those relationships and things like user. Don't forget to turn off your shortcut routes. Authentication is going to be happening with Passport. Passport is a JavaScript library that relies heavily on strategies which are pre-configured methods of authenticating with third-party auth providers of Google and Twitter, Facebook, and serialization and deserialization routines, which define how the user is actually created and managed within our application after the auth API response. So what we need to do is configure our client ID, our client secret, our callback URL. This is an example of the password config file. You can see at the top I'm saying that when we serialize the user, all we're doing is passing along the email component of the user. That's what gets stored in our session. When password wants to deserialize their user, it just takes in the email from the session and spits out the full user corresponding to it. Now, all the sessions is utilized by the fallback handler for the strategy. The strategy says, okay, well, Google has responded with an access token and a refresh token. We also have a query code in the URL that says a neat little email. We're going to create our user, store it in our database with the, its email address, its access token, and then we're done. We're going to pass our user along and serialize at that point. Policies are middleware. Raise your hand if you know what middleware is. A couple of people. So if you imagine you're trying to talk to your friend, some guy walks in between you with a big giant sheet of plywood, and you can talk to your friend. And that's what middleware is. It's going to sit in between the conversation from endpoint in sales and the route handler and say, okay, I have a request. What am I going to do with it? If it's authenticated, we're going to call the next thing. It's not authenticated, we're that sheet of plywood. Or plus he does is say, okay, well, we have a bearer token in there, right? If we don't have a bearer token, we're done. If we do have a bearer token, check for user that matches. If we don't find it, we're done. Otherwise, next. Auth controller and routing is the heart of our authentication layer. The auth controller, I've mentioned under core config, we're going to disable. We're going to set actions, shortcuts, and rest routing to false for the auth controller. That will disable the automatic routing, all the other stuff I talked about. We don't want any of it. We use this from Google call it. Those are our two methods. We'll route them ourselves. We define routes to auth/Google and auth/Google callback. The first one does the initial request to the Google endpoint, spit out the Google login box, you hit a little button, and then it spits back to our Google callback endpoint that handles it via passport and returns to us our token. This is what our auth controller looks like. It's not disabled our stuff like we talked about. Our Google endpoint automatically pass off to password and hey, password, you do this. It says, I just want you to authenticate with Google, and I just need their email. Okay, so when we're done, we're going to log back, we call Google, and again, add a passport. This time, we're going to give it all back. When password has received callback from the API Google side, it will process a user object through the deserialization process. That user object then gets logged in and their token returned. A lot of people use sales to generate auth. It is very widespread across the doors and also no longer maintained. It doesn't seem to work out of the box, which is very disheartening. So I just wanted to let everybody know that this is probably the fastest way to get this going. The auth code is presented in the URL and it's query parameters. It's done that for a reason. The reason is because the Cordova in-app browser plugin has a load start event whose event object has access to the URL but not the method. So that this allows us to access the access token within the handler for the OAuth. We are also mapping localhostpc.com to the loop address 127.0.1. We're doing that in our host file both locally and on the phone. More on that in a second. The reason is because the most APIs or most OAuth APIs need a domain to be authorized to receive a callback. So we're using a fully qualified domain name for that purpose. Something I didn't mention, is there's another file you have to config. It's HTTP.js. It's the sales middleware ordering system. It basically says, okay, well, we want passport session middleware to be defined by the required statements on the screen, and we're going to insert them into the order parameter of that file after the existing session thing in that file, which makes we're looking at that file in 1 second. The app itself, the mobile app, I'm going to tell you guys right now, my computer doesn't have the processing power to generate, to install things, npm install in real time. So you won't really see me using generator M. I also can't run an Android emulator on my netbook. What I can do is run Goldwash. So we're going to be looking at what this looks like in a browser during development as opposed to completing that app. But more on that later. Generator M is awesome. If you've ever played with Angular, one of the things a lot of people try to struggle with in the beginning is, how do I lay out my directory structure? Where do I put my directive, my controllers, and templates? How do I link in modules? How do I have multiple modules? How do I have routing? Generator M gives you net browser. It gives you UI routing. It gives you a beautiful directory structure. It also gives you the ability to add things into very easy. If you generate a controller, it automatically gets inserted into the build process. So this project, what we did, we generated the login controller, list controller, the respective templates, and then manually we're adding routes. This is what a directory structure looks like kind of after generator. We end up with a beautiful division between app and then all of the stuff needed for Cordova. App is where all of our HTML, CSS goes. You can see we have main module. It's split up our individual Angular components for us. We generate them to Angular, and they go in the right folders, and they're all hooked up magically. It's beautiful. We're not going to talk about what individual folders really do. I expect that you know or can figure out what controller and directed in Angular and how it works. We will move on. This is the routing. So in app main.js, basically in our Cordova or our Ionic scaffolded directory structure, we can say that this is the name of the route, this is the URL, this is the template renders and the control around that template. And then inside of login of HTML, you can use CTRL to access anything bound to this within the login controller. We added another property called require off, which does actually exist in Angular UI. We're going to use it for our middleware layer. We also found a list endpoint. So if you can imagine, we're going to open up the thing, going to be a login button, we're going to click on it. It's going to say, okay, well, I'm going to send you to the list thing, which you can only access if you're logged in, and you will see all of the lists of things for you. That's cool. Services are how we're going to really accomplish this. We have in-app browser through the login controller, which relies heavily on the auth service. The auth service doesn't really do anything except persist its token. You basically process the token and it's stored. The API service is the method of getting that URL in the API. We just call the API the things, and it's going to, through code that we have already written, query the AJAX or query the API endpoint with the access token from the auth provider, keeping our code pretty clean. This is what our auth service looks like. Persistent token and retrieve token is authenticated, which is kind of standard stuff. I don't have an example of the API server here, but if you're curious, remind me while I'm looking at code, and I can show you. Application and the Ionic side of things happens by binding to state change start, injecting the auth service, and looking for parameters on the state that we're transitioning into, and thus, if they're there, checking for the token. Basically, we've got the run method, which is inside of, again, main.js. We've got after the config function, the state change start, two-state data that require law gets through, then, if they're not authenticated, we're going to stop. We're going to ban default. Otherwise, we're just going to continue. By the way, good point. You should always throw in logs and debug logs and sales. There's one called sales.log. All of these logging statements all over the place aren't horrible. They're actually awesome because they give you really useful logging information and tips for optimization. Just getting information out of logs. So to really build this thing, what we would have to do if we had processing power is run gulp build to squish all of our assets down. Ionic emulator introduces log load that gives us an emulator that also will persist while spinning out other logs, which is pretty cool. ADB remap allows us to have write access to system partition on our device. So we're going to pull down a host file from our devices. We're going to add the. This isn't the loopback URL or the loopback ID for a reason. On a mobile Android phone 10.0.2.2, the emulator is a device host on. So this says, I want my host, which is where the API is, to be localhost PC. I'm going to that. Or, save it, push it back. Or we could just do it. So Watch is going to do everything, be in the middle of the development environment. The only thing to notice if you're on Cordova development is that a lot of things work differently on the device than they do in the browser, specifically HTTP requests. So you have to know that Cordova whitelist plugin is something that you'll be experiencing if you're doing HTTP requests on the emulator. So let's try this. So what I've done so far to save us a little bit of time is I have generated a sales API. You can see the commands on the screen. These are the only things I've done so far. Sales and new API with apps. And then I npm installed sales Mongo, sales passport for Google OAuth 2, and the .env.
How do you install sales?
That is a sudo npm install -g sales. So that comes with a global node package. Good question. Okay, so let's start out with some of our configuration. So we got the big bootstrap. So the first thing I'm going to do is enter bootstrap in our app. I'm going to .env. Then we're going to set our models file to this is just the default name in the campus file. It's just Mongo DB server. It's just a name that it doesn't have any granular numbers to go with that. So we're going to set the action, and we're going to say that every time we run this, we're going to trash our database. So you want to set it safe for production. Actually, with the models that we're going to do, of course, do the next thing, which is course just needs us to authorize next better. Better is going to use for the authentication request as well as all any domains so we've got Bootstrap. Looks like we're good. Okay, now we want to generate our user API. And then we want to add new model. We want to get that progress. So our users have email access to it, both of which are required for implementation of serialized, deserialized, etc. Reactive token is just a string. Email is cleverly not email. Email, of course, private. There's also the many properties. So users have things. Things are a collection of thing objects. The thing object also property. Okay. Next is the thing. The thing has a name. And it also has author is just a reference to the model user. Who here thinks we have a fully functional API now? Let's try it. We're going to do a curl request to localhost pc.com 137/user. Localhost pc.com. Oh, you know what? That's definitely not going to work because I haven't started the API. Thank you. So, now we just need to hit the end. Everyone likes cats. So as you can see, it spit back the user object. It's already created our thing for the user. And we could go on. We could get request URL, but you get the idea. Let's try to So we're going to get by copying some code that I've already. This is just kind of standard practice across C projects. There's no reason we can't do it like presentation. Let's copy in the copy folder config stuff into our config folder. But that's fine. We're going to also copy in the copy folder. into our controllers. API controllers. Let's see. All the controllers put in policy, program policy, which is called token FAS. That was the middleware interpreter. That's what you got in your policy file. Okay. And when we copied in the config folder, what it did, we go to is it set up, it brought us password.js, which defines our strategies and our serializations. It brought us routes, which is going to specify the author controller handles. HTTP, which initializes the passport for us. We should our bootstrap file hold up in that and then make the changes folder. Let's take a look. We've got a few seconds here. We're making good time. We've got 20 minutes left. Let's take a look at some of these files that I mentioned before. HTTP.js. This is the middleware definitions that I was talking about. Uncomment the middleware containing baseline structure. Passport session comes from the required step and I drop in after. The route file, of course, is just Google callback and the auth control. That's special there. The policies is we have said that all of our user controller actions require the token policy to be processed. And then that's all pretty passport. Just one more time for entirety of user lessons serialized. I'm using the end get my experience for you guys. Our .env file. Okay. So that should give us authentication. Good. That's really good. Now, this to our API will give us now, if we were to go back here, we can see the sales has received the Google auth request, and that is it has given us the screen. web browser has frozen its workspace. So we're going to go rebrowse. We're going to grab another instance. If you can.
CPU's overloaded, so we have to start with another browser.
Well, the Chrome instance has a tendency to crash in this environment, unfortunately.